Mon Mothma took like 3 or 4 drinks before she started dancing, and I think that was kind of like I've just realized what this war is going to cost me. It's going to cost me some of my friends.
The Empire cannot win. If it goes up in flames, it will burn very brightly.
We must stand together. We will be crushed.
Welcome to the rebellion.
Alright, welcome everyone to the channel and to our Andor Season 2 review show. I'm without Martin this week, but I've enlisted some rebels to join me in discussing this show. Who you can see there are our good friends Matt from Matt's Collection and Mando number 5, also known as Keith Guppy. And making his debut onto our channel is the wonderful Super John from Super Awesome
Hello.
Geek Show. How are we all doing?
Hey, as they say.
Good,
all good?
really good, thanks. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, doing good.
Okay, excellent. Right, before we get into this fully, I've got to do the spoiler warning because we're likely to put some spoilers out there on this one. So make sure you've watched all 3 episodes before you watch this one. So guys, Series 1 sort of worked on 3-part story arcs that they released week by week. And they've obviously made this series in the same way. But they're releasing each story arc by the week. So how do you guys like that new format first and foremost? I'll start with John, as he's new to the channel.
I actually really like it because from my understanding, this season 2 is we see this story arc of 3 episodes that had took place in 4 BBY.
Mm-hmm.
And next week we're supposed to skip a year.
Yeah.
It'll be 3 BBY, and those 3 episodes take place. Pardon me, sorry. Those 3 episodes take place in 3 BBY. So and then it'll be 2, then 1, and it'll lead right into Rogue One. So I think that's a good idea because I like to get the whole story of what happened in this event in time each week. I think that's a good idea. But the negative side of it is, like, I had my mother and friends sitting here watching it with me yesterday morning, and as soon as we got done with the first episode, they were like, everybody was just kind of like, what's going on? Why are there credits? I thought there was like a full thing. This has only been on for like 40 minutes. And I was like, yeah, we got to skip and go. And then they're like, why are they playing a happened last episode, a recap? I just saw the damn thing. Why am I watching a recap? You know, they should have edited it into 1 2.5 hour movie. You know what I mean? That we could just sit through uninterrupted if they were going to do one arc each week. And I think it's lazy of them to have just left the end credits and the opening thing in each of these episodes. I think the second they knew they were going to do it as chunks, it should have just been 3 or 4 2.5 hour movies or episodes, whatever you want to call it, and call it a mini series instead of a series. I don't know, whatever you want to do, but
yeah. What about you, Keith?
I'm a fan, but to be fair, I think that about a lot of stuff. Like, I think that especially the seasons of Mandalorian, they should have an uncut 4-hour long version of it. Like, I just do. I think you should have the option of watching these shows either way, either broken up into episodes or an uncut full length thing, even if it's 4 or 5 hours long. So what? Let me watch it uninterrupted.
I guess
because
you'd be
it's streaming. It's streaming. I can pause whenever I want. I don't need it broken up into weekly episodes. We don't have television that's in broadcast format anymore. It's all streaming. You can do whatever the hell you want. So why not do whatever you want?
Keith, then, did you enjoy the release of the arc?
Yeah, I did. Just like John, I really did. And I'm so pleased, as John said, that we've got a group of episodes together that link together, because I think, all the other series we've watched, we have to watch one episode and wait a week. It just takes something away from it for me. It just makes it a little bit disjointed. I do hope, though, when they go from BBY4 to, to 3 to whatever they do, I just hope there's not too much of a gap. You think, what the hell's happened here? And it just sort of suddenly jump to something you don't recognise. hopefully they'll fill
Yeah.
that a little bit and give you a bit of background. I think an
Mm-hmm.
opening score would have been nice if they're going to do that, or a little bit of background, because you can just see what's happened in the last year or 2 years you've jumped. But overall, I would say it's a much better improvement, and binging 3 episodes was much better than waiting a week for me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Matt? You enjoy that format?
I do. It made for a very long Tuesday evening for me. It was like my kids
Yes.
watched the first episode and went to bed, and I immediately started watching the next two. I would advise. I mean, I see. I see what John's like critique of it. Or criticism. Where
Well, it
like,
wasn't
like
mine
that.
originally. It was the people
That's
sitting
fine.
next to me.
No, I get it.
My 75-year-old mom and her friend. Like, it wasn't me that started that conversation. It was really them.
But the thing is they're still releasing
finally
this as
someone who gets it.
Yeah, but it's like they're releasing it in smaller chunks than like say like a Netflix where they drop an entire season of Stranger Things at once and it's all in that episode format. And I would advise against skipping the recap, because in one of the I think it's the recap for season 3 or for episode 3, they showed stuff from season 1. And it would be, if you haven't watched it, if not everybody's able to do a rewatch right before the next season. So there was some stuff. Okay, yeah, I remember that. Okay, now I remember that now. And but yeah, I kind of like what they're doing. Is like each that there's going to be 4 chunks here, basically 4 little mini arcs, and they're releasing one arc at a time. I think it's really good. But yeah, it's so yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. And I mean, you look at these 3 episodes and they were packed with stuff. So it's it was it's really good.
How did you feel about the pacing? Because I think it with season 1 it did feel slow, but it was always building to something. The pacing on this one was maybe slower at times, but the fact that we've got those 3 episodes, you kind of complete that arc each time, so it picks up the pace. Do you agree? Or
no, I agree. I agree. Like season 1, where they dropped like the first 3 episodes, and it was 1 episode a week after that, if I recall. And that was the biggest complaint I heard from people, is the pacing was very slow. But if you were able to binge all 12 episodes, that kind of went away. And I really think they're alleviating it now, because it's you're able to binge that arc and go from, and now it's next week we'll see, it'll be 3 years ahead or whatever, because I think it was 4 years on this one. And so I think it'll work very, really well. And I think it's going to alleviate that complaint that season 1 got.
I think if they'd have the bit about the rebels on the planet, was it Yavin? I don't know whether it was Yavin in the end. Was it?
It was Yavin.
They were at Yavin 4.
Yeah. I think if you'd had that as just a standalone episode, because I felt that's where it lost a bit of pace, really. We'll talk about a bit more detail later on. I think it was a bit comedic at times, but I think if you'd had that as a standalone episode, people might have gone, well, it's all right. So yeah, like Matt, I think it was good that they had the 3.
Yeah.
So we sort of followed 4 main sort of storylines in this. We had the Andor storyline, Dedra Miro's storyline, meeting with Krennic, which was great to see him again. The Chandrila wedding, and also the Harvest Planet, which was Mina Raal. I've got. So how did we enjoy Andor's sort of journey from stealing the TIE fighter, the TIE Avenger, on Sinar, and then heading off, like Keith said, to Yavin to meet someone? There was a little bit of sort of mystery around that, but it was quite nice to see Cassian in sort of full spy mode, which is what he was heading towards at the end of Series 1. How did you enjoy that, John?
I actually really liked it, because I thought it was interesting that he stole the wrong ship. Well, not necessarily he did. The wrong ship was there. He said, "This isn't the ship you trained me to steal. What the heck's going on?" You know what I mean? So I'm wondering now, did they expect the TIE Defender to be there, or some other ship? Like, what were they really after? And they ended up getting a TIE Avenger instead. I thought it was interesting that the thing had that big green cannon on it, which is clearly a Kyber weapon. and it might be the Empire's experimentation with kyber weapons that leads to what we see in the Death Star. So it could have been that Lucian knew it was there. Luthen or whatever knew that was the thing he wanted all along, because he wants to know how far ahead the Empire is with their kyber weapon technology. Um, and then I thought it was great his interaction with the girl who was there, and how she was told not to look at him and told not to ask questions, and he was kind of like, well, you're being brave and taking a step that you believe in. You deserve to know these things if you want to know them. I liked that when he did land on the planet and those guys had killed the person he was supposed to meet, it showed how disorganized. See, I think there was a lot of compare and contrast in these episodes, because you saw Dedra with Krennic and the Empire, and how they were showing those scenes and how strict, disciplined, and regimented the Empire was, and then they would move from those scenes right to the planet where the rebel groups that were clearly two different groups brought together by the girl and the guy's brother who had disappeared. We don't know why. And then those two groups fell apart and started fighting each other. So it shows how disorganized the rebellion is at this point, compared and contrasted to how organized and disciplined the Empire was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the underlying tone that I took from, and that's why I think they were showing those scenes in the boardroom opposite to the scenes of them on the planet screwing everything up. You know what I mean? It was like compare and contrast these two organizations and how they are at this moment in time, So I loved that aspect of it. I thought it was fantastic. Brilliant writing, great acting, and everything,
Yeah. Keith, you said it was a bit comedic in a way. What do you sort of mean by that?
I think the start of the arc was terrific when he stole the tie, and
comedic in a way as well, because
and
trying to escape, but
the way he blasted his way out the doors. We had the range trooper or the rocket trooper, didn't we? Show up, and I don't know what he was doing there. Anyway, that's a bit odd, but that was great. That was all great. But I think once he landed on Yavin, I think it was a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy and the Scavengers. I don't know.
It felt like that. Yeah, right.
Bit bumbly, a bit stupid, a bit idiot, and it was a bit like that. I mean, the 3 episodes for me went so fast. I mean, even the wife sat next to me, and when the first one finished, was that it already? God, that's 40 minutes. Although the end credits take about 10 minutes out of the time every time. But it went so quick. But overall, I thought the art was great. I love, I want to see a toy of that straight away. I'm like,
I needed an Avenger. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt. Anything stand out in particular for you on that?
I had to kind of go back on some stuff here. It was like, you seeing the tie, and it was like, it's like, Cassian can't fly it. It was like, you're here to steal it. You're the test fight. What are you doing? And it's like, and then you find out later on, it's like, this wasn't the ship. This wasn't what I was trained on. This ship that I'm stealing. It was like, I thought that was really good. They really showed like really well how like the rebels are just completely inept. They're so disjointed, and I mean, you look at these guys on the plane. When he gets to the plane, which you find out later on is Yavin 4, which was a great reveal. I love that.
Yeah.
But these guys are all fighting amongst themselves to the point where they start shooting at each other, and then to resolve it, they're basically playing rock paper scissors.
Yeah.
And it's like, and the whole time Cassian's sitting there like he's actually sowing distrust between them so he can get out of there, because they killed his contact. Because he's just supposed to drop the ship off and then get back to Mina Raal, to his friends. I mean, and you see what's going on there. I mean, it's the fact that even like when you watch Rogue One, when they get to the point where they are in the briefing before when they get back to Yavin 4, and they're like, and Bail Organa's like, we just got all of our forces together, and now you want to break it apart. So I mean, this has been the better parts of 2 decades in building up, a rebel, a rebel insurgency or a rebel alliance, and it's like nothing. I mean, they've stolen all this money. Mon Mothma's extended herself to the point where she's got to marry her daughter off to somebody she didn't want to do. she has compromised so much in her life for this cause, and the rank and file are just completely stupid. And it just shows to the point. It's like, I mean, if even when you watch like the original movies, it's like everything the Rebel Alliance does is a Hail Mary play.
Yeah.
It just happens to work. And it's like, and there's always problems along it, and it goes to the the will of the Force and everything else, but it's just the Rebel Alliance is like the luckiest group in the galaxy, because they should be defeated by this Empire, no problem. I don't know why they're having these problems, other than the fact that, which we could get to later, is just that it's just that the Empire's been in control, and just about absolute control, and it's the hubris
Arrogant.
that they have. Yeah, the arrogance. And it's the thing. It's even it's even brought up in the Return of the Jedi. Luke brings it up to the Emperors because he's so arrogant about he's so overconfident that everything he's done, he's planned for everything, and that gives them the chance to get through.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that. So it's nice to see that dichotomy, and I love Tony Gilroy's doing a great job of showing that.
Yeah.
That is, so the Cassian's story, obviously, because titular character and everything. Yeah, I loved everything that he did in this, and it was really kind of fun. Like, where he's like, hey, it's not going to rain forever. We might want to try to store some of this water, because these guys were starving.
Yeah.
They had no food, and they're completely inept in finding food. I mean, it was
and
like
the food they had got waterlogged and moldy. You hear about
they ruined everything, and then they're like eating like this, like there's so many, like I took like survival training in the military, and it's like they're doing so much. It's like, oh, don't do that. No, that's bad.
They're not built for it at all.
Just chop some strange thing in half and try to eat it. No,
Adam, do you think there was one scene where Cassian was trying to steal the tie, and he fired the gun and it wouldn't work, and he kind of double took and went, "This ain't working." That reminded me of Han Solo putting hyperdrive down, and the hyperdrive just going boom, 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 boom. It was that kind of bit of comedy in there. I like that as well.
Watch this.
Yeah.
I think we're in trouble.
Absolutely. No, Matt, you mentioned about Mon Mothma's sort of storyline at that point as well. It felt very unusual for Star Wars in a way. What did you guys make of that sort of story with the wedding and everything? I don't know. I found it a bit.
Well, it was a build up from
out of the ordinary. Of course, yeah. But I guess we get to see more of her home planet and what life is like there.
Yeah, it was great seeing Chandrila, and you're looking at seeing the planet, and then you gotta realize that like the Mothma family, I guess, is really one of the more powerful families there. So it's like everybody's like in deference to her, including her husband, who obviously was an arranged marriage when she was a teenager as well. And it's I mean, just the different traditions.
That marriage is loveless. There's no
it's
real
always
love between her husband and her. You know what I mean? It's just an arranged thing, and it's good for publicity.
It's very Game of Thrones. It's like you're marrying for political alliance. I mean, that's what was it, Damon or whatever the guy's name is?
Yeah, he's essentially the guy that is the father of Mon Mothma's daughter's husband, right? He's some kind. I'm a little unclear exactly what he is, but he's some kind of crime lord.
Well, he's like, somebody who came from like I don't want to say like lowborn, but he wasn't.
Because she said he was a criminal in season 1.
Well, yeah, she calls him a thug. And basically, he's a guy who's he's probably done some shady stuff, but he's a massive amount of wealth. And the thing is he knows the money systems well enough that he can move big things. And it was they needed him to save her because of the new banking, the banking laws that take into effect after the clampdown of stuff after the Aldani mission.
Yeah,
because that put her in a bind.
Yeah, because she's funding part of the rebellion with her money.
Everything that happened, And everything that happens, I really loved it. It was all political intrigue going on at that wedding, because you had Luthen there, and he's worried because he's got an operation going on and he wants to know what's going on, but he can't because he's got to be there because he's supplying the Knights of the Old Republic reference for the show.
Yeah.
But he's there for that, and then you have Mon Mothma's friend who initially brought these two together, and then now he's having a problem, because like he's lost. This is putting himself out there to bring them together to do all this. It's cost him financially, and personally, like his wife has left him.
Yeah,
and he's got problems, and he's trying to get out from under it, and he's it's like his life's swirling a drink because of this.
Yeah.
And Mon Mothma wants to help him, but and he's kind of like, I know
he's
stuff.
on the verge of on the verge of turning, isn't he?
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. Was he trying to get Mon Mothma to help financially pay him back, or was he trying to say something like, if I'm going to continue doing this, I want fully into the inner circle?
I think it was a little of both,
because they weren't. Everybody was talking in sort of riddles and rhymes here. They weren't actually coming out and saying what they were really trying to say. So it's left up to the audience to sort of figure out, what do these characters really want from each other? And that's what I liked about it, because I was like, the wedding was like someone setting up a chessboard. All the pieces were there, all the players were there, and they were being manipulated and moved, not only by they were being manipulated and moved by each other. Like every time you had an interaction between any of them, it's like you could see things repositioning and things moving around this board, this game. And it was like, so you weren't really watching. On the surface, people thought they were watching a wedding, but you're really watching all the players of this chess game and their pieces getting put into position while this thing is going on for 2 or 3 days, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought was great about it. Again, I was like, that's brilliant writing and wonderful acting by the people who are involved in this show.
Very much so.
Yeah. Definitely. Keith?
I particularly like the antique shop at Coruscant.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's
a lot going on there.
When you go in there, I just like, I don't look at anything, but I look all around.
I'm trying to pick everything out. I'm like, that's from that. There's
I paused and go frame by frame. Did you see? It was like Plo Koon's mask. And I was like,
Plo Koon's mask.
How'd they get that? He burned up.
Yeah, but did you see Padme Amidala's head?
Head first. Yeah.
There's
brilliant. I love that.
It was like last year they have like the outfit for like if you played the Force
Jedi,
Unleashed. The Force Unleashed. If you play it and you do the dark side ending, and there's like some DLC, if you're the Star Killer in the armor, and it's like right there. I was like, oh.
Didn't they have a Naboo? I think they had a Gungan shield as well. I think.
Yeah, there's a Gungan shield in there.
Weaponry,
There's all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah. No, but I loved it. I mean, I liked it. Was a bit of a throwback to the sort of Elizabethan time, the dance, the start of the dance. I loved the DJ robot ball. That was brilliant.
DJ Disco Ball.
Need one of those. It was just very suspenseful, wasn't it? And at the end, when they were flashing between the two arcs, and she was getting drunk, and it was getting faster and faster and faster, and the way it just went straight from the music blast and her going nuts to just to finish. I thought that was quite impactful.
Well, with Mon Mothma at the end, if we're jump to at the end of the arc, where she knows like Luthen's like, no matter what we give him, he's going to come back. And basically he's like, Mon Mothma has to be protected at all costs. She is ultimately the face of the rebellion. She's the highest ranking person in government that is that's in on this. Other than because like Bail Organa at this point, like a lot of the stuff that I got, like, especially if you read the novel for Revenge of the Sith, I'm going to go back a little bit here. There's a part where Padme looks at Bail Organa and says, you need to vote for everything he wants and just stay under the radar because otherwise you're going to get killed. And she tells him point blank. So, and you kind of see it in Rebels too, where he's very like, he's doing like stuff for the rebellion, but he's kind of doing it on his own. and he's got the public face where he's not really, he's not opposing the Empire like Mon Mothma is in there, and she's just basically a thorn in Palpatine's side, especially like with the Gormans when she talked. I mean, they've been building up the Gorman massacre since the first season.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we're going to get that next week.
I think that's next arc. Yeah.
Yeah.
2BBY in it, that massacre, I think.
Does it?
They
could. I think they've changed it because there's two different ways you go. I mean, there's the Legends version, and then there's what's in Rebels, and I don't know how far out they are when it comes to Rebels. But this is what gets her like she becomes a fugitive after. Yeah, they've shown her giving the speech.
Yeah, that's right. Then she goes into hiding, doesn't she? Straight after that, I think.
And she's got to get out of there because then she becomes wanted because she's an insurrectionist. But you're looking at her in this where it's like so she knows she's about to lose her friend, somebody she's known since she was a kid. It was a good friend to the point they're so close that even her husband is accusing her of cheating on him with him. It's kind of thing, and it's like, and she, it's not that, and it's like,
no, it's not that,
and but she's at this point where she has like no choices, and she's in this thing up to her neck, and Luthen is just doing stuff, and it's like no, because and he basically, and he tells her is like, she's like, I'm going to talk to him next week. We'll come up with a number. He'll be fine. We'll make it'll be okay. And he's like, no, because they'll just keep coming back. We gotta end this now. And it's like, and then when you see Cinta, it shows up and she's the driver. It's like, how did he arrange that so fast?
I know.
So it's like, you're just like, he's a goner at that point. And she's like, I mean, she has given up so much and she's compromised so much. And to see what she does at the end of the dance, and it's like it's so funny because like there's so much tension at the wedding reception. And they're juxtaposing it. I mean, we're going to get talking about it, but it's juxtaposed with what's going on Mina Raal with Bix and Brazo and everybody there. It's just tension building on tension in that. And it was just I loved how they did it because at the same, I'm just sitting there going, oh my God, this is, it's like you're just getting twisted into a knot and there's no break. It's just tension after tension on this. And then at the end where she just starts dancing, she's like, and you can just see the desperation in her eyes. Genevieve O'Reilly did an absolute fantastic job.
Brilliant.
In this, in that third episode. I mean, all of them so far. Yeah. She's a great actress. And it's just to see what she's going through at this point. And then you juxtapose it when you see her like in Ahsoka, which is like, 5-6 years after Return of the Jedi, where she's the chancellor, and it's amazing. She is just doing an incredible job in the character. So I was like, it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to move it on to the Empire, the Imperial side of things, where we see Dedra and what was it? Director Krennic at this point still? Is he?
Yeah, he's Director Krennic.
Yeah, he's still Director Krennic, yeah. Great to see him back. Were you expecting to see him back so early, though?
No, not that early. I knew he was going to come back, but I didn't think right away. That was great. I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that whole storyline, you did touch on it a minute ago. So we're thinking that's going to be not next week, but the week after. Well, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
You don't.
Yeah, it's going to be in the next 2 weeks. Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and how do you think that's going to sort of affect the storyline moving forward?
Huge,
John.
Yeah, I mean, like we've only seen. I think it's going to be interesting to see this Gorman, like with the massacre. I guess because we've heard so much about it in the background between comics, other shows, books, and everything. You know what I mean? Like, but we've never actually, I think, seen it. And I think we're going to see it now. And,
do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, because don't they have like Andor and the other girl like walking through that building that they showed in the video like in the previews and the trailers? So I think we're gonna see something there. You know what I mean? And the other side of it though too is it's interesting to see the Imperial view on like this is sort of a peaceful planet that's set up for business and one business only, and that's collecting this fiber from these spiders for this silk to make
cow kits,
clothing, you know. But what's really there is something more precious to the Empire and the Imperial cause is a certain mineral, a metal that's underground, and
calcite.
Yeah, was that what it was? Calcite.
Calcite.
And is that like? I'm not 100% familiar with that material. Is that what the Death Star is made of?
Exactly. That's exactly
what it is. Is that the metal?
It's part of it. It's a part of it. It's probably part of the main weapon.
The infrastructure. Yeah. Well, I thought it might be the structural part. Because if you think about it, the Death Star is the size of a small moon. And if you were to build a small moon out of metal and plastic and parts, you would basically need a planet or two, like the entire planet or two of resources to do that.
I think it goes around the reactor. Like, it goes around the reactor. So it might be some sort of...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well, I mean... Well,
because they've already started building it, haven't they?
We saw you see it at the end of season 1 where they're at.
Yeah, they did. They had the pieces that they were making were being put in place, right? Yeah.
And it's so funny because that project is so secret that Krennic's even lying to the people he's got to help him get the stuff from Gorman, because he's like, well, this is going to be this great thing for the Empire.
Energy,
we're not going to have to worry about energy anymore if we just do this one thing. And it's like, that's not what it is.
That's not what it is.
You're lying through your teeth.
And only Krennic and the Emperor, and like he said, Yularen and the Moff Tarkin and maybe Vader know what's really going on. You know what I mean? Like,
they don't know, nobody knows anything about the Death Star. And I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, they've been very good at keeping it quiet. I mean, and you think about what they've already done. I mean, they're just snatching people off of planets and sending them to work camps and then working them until they die. And you saw that last season. I think the prison arc in season 1 was one of the coolest things ever, and it was just it's just so you see that, and then you see like it's these things that they're doing, and they're making this ultimate weapon that they think they can crush any resistance with. And at the same time that they're trying to build it, they are sowing the seeds to bring the rebellion together. Because I mean, that's the Gorman massacre is the thing that is the catalyst to bring the Rebel Alliance together. Because like we've already talked about, you see just how inept and how disjointed they are, where nobody's talking to each other. You saw it last year when Luthen goes and talks to Saw Gerrera, and he's and he's like, I don't trust, like there's Anton Krieger was a guy that he was like, he's got this great plane, he just needs some air support, and he's like, no, I'm not working with that guy. And then later on, when he finds out that Anton Krieger, like, he's got this really great source. I mean, this is similar stuff that happened like in World War II. You got like when they cracked Enigma. And now here we are now where they're planning, like they had like basically like these plainclothes Gestapo types at the meeting. Like, we've come up with this great propaganda campaign to show this thing. And Dedra Meero sees that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And so basically her plan, and she's already been hired for this job. And it's like, I love that she's like, she wants it, it's like, but she thinks that looking for access is more important. And the major's like, look, you've been doing this for 2 years and you've gotten nowhere. And it's like, and obviously what happened on Ferrix was a huge setback for her.
Yeah.
It was a huge mess up, and it's like, and she's the scapegoat for it all. And, because she put herself in that position. So it's like, this is, and he's like, look, no, just do this. It'll look like a demotion. We know it isn't.
Yeah.
And just, go and take care of this. And now she's like the architect for the Gorman massacre.
Yeah.
It's like, it's ridiculous.
Agreed.
It's crazy.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Do we think with Dedra we might see a different side to her this season?
Well, we kind of already
it seemed
have.
like she didn't really want to get involved.
The way she dealt with the mother-in-law was brilliant.
Oh, I loved that too.
Love that.
And the mother-in-law, that actor for the mother-in-law is playing that
great.
part brilliantly. She is so good. It's awesome.
I felt the same way about Cyril in season 1. It's
Yeah.
like he played it so well, you just loved to hate him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
And
he's
she's
fantastic.
come into it
Yeah.
and done exactly the same thing.
Oh yeah, to the point where it's like, if you see her outside of the show, she's a fairly attractive woman. They have done a very good job of making her just kind of, ugly. And then to the point where it's like she's even uglier when she smiles. I mean, she smiles at that one point, like we're getting ready for the dinner, and it's like, and you don't even know who the dinner's with. You're setting up for something. You're thinking like director Krennic's coming over or something to discuss stuff, and then it's his mother. I lost it. It was so funny.
The way she was eating that dessert, wasn't she? She's like,
oh yeah, just.
Oh, I know. It's just.
But then, in fact, the way Deidre's like, I mean, when Cyril's had enough, and he just goes and collapses in the other room. And Dedra just takes charge and is like, I mean, just really kind of sets her, he puts the mother in her place. Yeah, I thought that was awesome. And, I thought I really love the character. What was that, Keith?
What was that, Keith?
The way she said, I can't remember the words she used, but she said, but basically what I'm telling you now is it might seem a choice, but it's not really a choice. You need to do what I said. Yeah. And it's the way she said it, brilliant dialogue.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have him call you a couple times a month, or call you once a week, see you a couple times a month. And this is all inversely proportional on how you treat him. And you better start treating him a lot better. I was like, and then you see the mom she's been doing and she's been in a bunch of other stuff. I think she's got a small part in like Harry Potter. Yeah. And one of those. And so she's been in some stuff. She's a great actress. She just to see her, she's been playing this overbearing mother so much, and doing it so well, and then just see her get put in her place. It was like, I mean, just chef, brilliant, kind of thing. I love
it. Well, she's playing one of those moms who just never sees the potential in her son and what her son has accomplished in his life. She just berates everything he does and wants to put him in his place and put him down. And then you got Dedra, his girlfriend, who's like, listen, I've seen your son move himself out of a failing position into a position of leadership, and he was right about going after Cassian, Andor, and stuff. You know what I mean? Even though the people that are higher up from him didn't want him pursuing that, he was right in pursuing it. You know what I mean? I think that's
Dedra's eyes.
In Dedra's eyes.
In Dedra's eyes, yes. The larger galaxy, no. He should never. His supervisor was right. We should just sweep this shit under the rug. These two guys were pieces of crap. We don't need to necks out for this. We don't need the Empire looking at us too much. But he's all very much. No, this is something I could. And I mean, if you look at it in season 1, he saw going after the guy that killed the two officers as a way. It was a way to advance. I mean, he took his job in corporate security very seriously to the point where he was modifying his uniform when he wasn't supposed to make it look better, kind of things. But the thing is, at the same time, you see, so many times in the military when he's given that speech back in season 1 when they're getting ready to go into Ferrix looking for Cassian, and he's giving that speech on the ship to the men, and it's like, oh, this is a brand new second lieutenant, and he doesn't know shit, and we're gonna get killed because this guy doesn't know what he's doing, kind of thing. He's like the lieutenant in Aliens. It's like, and the guy, he plays it right. The guy playing Cyril did a great job with it. It's like it is kind of the guy you like to hate, kind of thing. Yeah. It's like he's just like, oh. So, but to see, when you see him, he's now like he's in the position of bringing people in and giving them jobs somewhere. And he's like, here's where I was you a couple years ago. And now I'm
giving
here.
The speech that he got, essentially.
Exactly. Pretty much. Yeah. Just, there's ways to do things here. And he's a true blue believer in the Empire too.
Yeah. I've had people ask me, like, do you think Cyril and Dedra are going to defect and go to and I'm like, absolutely not. No, they're true into the Empire. They're not going to defect and become rebels. No, that's not happening. They're
Now, the last planet we need to discuss is Mina Raal, with Bix, Brazo, and Wilman on the planet.
And don't forget the Nazi party.
And
Yeah.
yes. Now we haven't really spoken about the visuals of the show yet. So all of these planets. I mean, seeing Yavin the way we saw that, the visual, it's very cinematic. How did you feel about this?
Yeah, I
planet?
was gonna say it's like movie
Harvest.
quality.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, the visuals. I mean, this has just been a treat for the eyes. The whole show.
Yeah.
They definitely use the budget well. Because I think of like go back to the act. Like there was one scene. It looked like a bad episode of Land of the Lost.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing. When I was a kid,
Cardboard background.
We
with
don't
glitter
talk
on it.
about that
You
show.
can't, you can't do. I'm. It's a good compare and contrast. Though. I mean, you think of the budget the Acolyte had, and what they produced was just really. That's all. That's the best you could do. And you look at what they're doing with Andor, and it is. I mean, you could watch this right after Rogue One, and it's the same. It's just the quality is just amazing.
Yeah, but this
when they first introduced, sorry, Adam, when they first introduced Mina Raal, and you saw them, the pan from the sky, and you just saw the huge wheat and cornfields, and then you saw the oasis, didn't you, of this little settlement? And I thought that was one of the best shots of the three episodes. I was like, wow, look at that! I mean, it's amazing the scale of it. It's brilliant.
Yeah. And this planet brought some controversial storylines, I guess. With it,
so but it works though. You know, I've seen a lot of people. Yeah, like
not what we used to, is it? I think.
Well, you know what?
But I feel like that's Andor.
When we were talking, I was talking about season 1 we were on Spice Runners Lounge. It's a live stream on Friday evenings. Fantastic collecting site if you ever want to watch it. They're a really great group of guys. But we were talking about it. It's like, you know, ever since like the prequels came out, it's like, you know, people like me or John, you know, guys, like I was 6 when Star Wars first came out in theaters, you know, so I was the target audience for that. And I absolutely loved it. Obviously. I mean, but we've been, you know, guys, the OG fans have always kind of wanted grown up Star Wars, you know, something for adults. And Andor is very much grown up Star Wars. It is for adults. And you're going to cover adult themes. And with what happened with Bix is a perfect example of what I've been saying about the Empire and hubris. And these guys, I'm going to take whatever I want. And, you know, and the lieutenant is like, I'm in charge here. I can do what I want. And I want her. And I don't care if she wants it or not. I'm getting it. I'm getting what I want. I don't care that she's married. I don't care about, you know, she's claiming like her husband. I don't know if they actually are or not, but
to me, it also threw back to the old English lords who were in charge of their, like to me, the Empire has been setting up a system where they finally get it done. We hear about it in Star Wars, where he goes, the Emperor has finally dissolved the Senate, and now the regional governors are in control of their area. Like, you can look at it as though that guy was a regional in command of that area, and he thinks that everything in that area is his right to own and do with what he pleases. Just like an old English lord did, you know what I mean, back in those days, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, you can't, like I said, though, you cannot have grown-up Star Wars, which Andor really is, and not have grown-up themes in it. You know, otherwise it's a movie about space wizards aimed at kids. You know, and Andor is definitely not that. So for them to show that, I mean, that's just a very visceral way of showing what the Empire is like. And I was like, Star Wars Theory, who has just become, I can't really give that guy, I just don't really pay him any mind anymore. But I just saw some stuff at him. He's like, Vader wouldn't allow that. I'm like, Vader's like the most evil guy in the galaxy next to Palpatine, for crying out loud. He doesn't care.
He was choking people to death.
What he wants. He doesn't give a crap. He just chokes. He chokes people over Skype meetings, for God's sake.
Yeah.
You jump out of hyperspace. You jump out of hyperspace too early. You're dead. You know, you know.
Kill your video chat.
Yeah, I did love the World War II German. You know, the theme. You even had a half track, didn't you? I mean, it was a half track. You can't get away from it. You know, and the way they walked around the place, and they had the grain. They just went, you know, like that, the grain.
Yeah.
You know, it was like similar scenes out of Inglourious B. I won't say
Yeah.
the word, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
You gotta
reminded me of that
drink.
very much.
Yeah,
So.
you have a cold drink and they take it. They're not looking to buy anything from these guys. They're just taking what they want. You got a cold drink and he takes it. And the guy grabs a little bit of the grain and whatever. But something I thought was really, on a lighter note of this planet, it's very interesting to me to see clearly as that story arc develops, you begin to realize that all that grain is being used to feed the Empire. They're all working for the Empire, and there's inspection teams that show up. Like they said, there hasn't been a big inspection team in 10 years because things have been running smoothly. But like that planet, it makes you feel like that grain is being grown on a planetary scale. Like the whole reason that planet exists is to build that one crop and to use it to feed the Empire. You know what I mean? And there's got to be other planets like that. Like even Lothal, we saw these giant plains of grain on Lothal. And what I thought was very interesting about this is if you look at the place they were living, there were landing gear underneath it. It wasn't the building didn't go to the ground. The building had landing gear under it. So it made you think that those parts that stuck out looked like they were collapsible. They looked like they had louvers, so they could push it in. Yeah. And then either a ship comes along and a carry-all picks it up and moves it to another spot, or it actually has repulsors underneath and can lift off the ground and move to another area. And then the same with the granaries. When they showed that wide shot, especially when Cassian was coming in with the TIE fighter, the granaries were all on stilts. So the same thing with those. Theoretically, they could lift those up and move them somewhere else. So it's like, and the fact that the grain that they were harvesting went right up to the building they were living in and went right up to the granary itself. You know what I mean? It just makes, like our farms on our planet, we have a place for us to live. And the field is over there. You know what I mean? It's not right up to the door of your house. So
well, they even mentioned like there's a point where there is a town it's kind of far away from where they're at.
Yeah,
where they're at, but it's not that far away. But when the lieutenant's first talking to Bix the first time when he meets her, and he's like, he's talking about the town and oh yeah, we were there. Do you ever go there? Kind of thing. It's like it's far away, but it's also something. There's not too many of them on that planet. It's like you said, they have maximized the space on that planet to just produce grain to feed the Empire.
And do it the most efficient way possible. And these repair crews move from site to site repairing stuff that they were playing into. They were like, if we have to, we'll just say we're one of the repair crews.
Moving you around.
We've got to move around, and they almost got away with that, but this guy was
they just weren't fast enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we knew we were going to lose some people. Did we expect to lose?
No, I didn't expect
so quickly.
Pour one out for Brazo, man.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I love that character. Even at the end, where they've caught him, and the guy that's been helping him the whole time, when he says like, "Oh, you turned us," he's covering.
He's covering for him. Absolutely.
That was so great, and you could see just by a look by the both of them. I mean, that was just so perfect. And it's like Brazo knows he's about to get taken in, but then he's he almost gets away. And it was like, and it's like. Finally, a stormtrooper hits something.
Well, they
gotta be my boy, man.
Well, they gave him the respect. They didn't show him getting shot, didn't they? They just
The stormtrooper aimed, and you didn't know. His aimed shot actually hit.
It finally happened. It finally happened.
Yeah.
But but it was like it was. I mean, just that was so well done, and it's like
I did like that because Brazo was like. I'm going down for this. There's no way out now, but I'm going to make sure that this guy lives. So I'm going to just play off that he must have betrayed us or whatever, and make it sound like he's on their side. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the speeder bike was spot on sound for the original speeder bikes.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
great. Yeah,
they did that
Yeah,
they did that last year too. The speeder bike they steal in was it episode 4 when Luthen and Cassian are getting out of out of Ferrix.
They're a little bit faster than the ones in Mandalorian, which is good. No, Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. Yeah.
Well, those were Vespas. They're not supposed to be fast. Yeah, the slow speed chase.
So with that, then we should. Well, before we go on to ratings, does anyone have any Easter eggs that they spotted?
Well, we already talked about like Plo Koon's mask and just about everything
Yeah.
in the antique shop. It's like
in
that's a
the-
feast
yeah.
for the eyes.
They had. Did you see the? I don't know what was the statue I put down. It's a Shandy Bass monument, but it was called. What was it called? What was the monument they found from 25,000 years ago?
Shandry Merle?
That's it.
Shandy Merle.
Yeah,
Shandy
from some
Bass.
temple.
Yeah.
But I
They
love
had
the
it-
fact that
that
they
was,
mentioned
that was on a repulsor lift, like the one they brought in with Carbonite Cloud City. Was it like that? It was just the way they brought it in.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, of
and
course.
I love the mention of the Rakatan Empire that they used for that. The Rakatans had stolen it 25,000 years ago, which is
they got like big ears, don't they? They're like big ears, look like Admiral.
They're
bug eyes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a great Knights of the Old Republic reference. I loved it.
They showed one sitting down in the background in one of the animated series, and I was trying to look it up to find a picture of it yesterday so that I could show people, but I couldn't find it because I remember it from the games. They were in the games. Yeah,
their eyes are like on stalks and kind of stick out a little bit.
Yeah.
They got really large, elongated heads.
Yeah.
Oh, that was that because like Knights of the Old Republic is one of my favorite video games, and it's just to have that reference in there was great. So I was like, we're one step closer to bringing Revan into canon.
There was one other thing, Adam. Did you see the toy Scout Walker?
Yep.
Oh, the marionette! I love that. I want one.
That's great. Yeah.
Very
good. On Mina Raal. Yeah.
The other thing too is if you go back to the old TIE Fighter, remember there was X-Wing, then they had TIE Fighter, and then X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, like those old computer PC games. That's where the Avenger comes from. The Avenger was in the TIE Fighter game, along with the TIE Defender. That's where they both.
But you're right. They used the Rebels. It was being chased by Rebel TIEs,
and it was being
Rebels.
It was being chased by those. That was a good one. But also the heads-up display where the triangles were put around the missile was from the game. It was a lot better looking than the game, but I remember in the game you would get those triangles around the missiles as they were coming in.
That reminded me of Predator. That reminded me of Predator a little bit.
I liked that it was a modernized version of the video game heads-up display in a sense.
Yeah, they definitely have done a very good job of going back into like different source material and bringing it forward. I mean, there's definitely stuff because like when they mentioned the Rakatans last night, I had to pause. I paused the show so I could explain to the kids and my wife. I was like, "Yeah, this is a reference to Knights of the Old Republic. This is why I'm like jumping out of my chair right now. Is the Rakatans are an alien, and I had to go through the whole thing. I basically was starting to talk about Knights of the Old Republic for like 20 minutes before we could continue the episode because I was I was geeking out so bad.
Yeah,
it just makes you wonder because I remember Disney saying they didn't want to do the Knights of the Old Republic and have anything to do with that era and all this.
And I'm okay with them not doing a Revan story because it's the same reason why I don't like a Mass Effect movie because it's like when you play that game, spoiler alert, you are Revan. So if they don't make the choices I made, I'm not going to like it. They're going to alienate everybody who made different choices in the game. And it's the same thing with Mass Effect. You play as Commander Shepard. I would love to see something set in that universe. Like I would love to see them do something in the Old Republic universe, like in that time period,
but not through that character's eyes.
I just want Revan mentioned. I don't want a story about Revan.
There you go.
Kind of thing. You give me that era, do a story in that era. Oh, I'm with you 100%.
Gotcha. One thing I do want to add though about the Mon Mothma stuff is I have a question moving forward. So, and you guys might be able to help clarify this. So at some point before Rogue One, and we see it a little bit in Rebels, because in Rebels, I believe it was in Rebels, where Saw Gerrera's head shows up in a hologram, and he's like, so somewhere before that point, Saw Gerrera and Mon Mothma have a split. At some point, all these rebel factions come together, and they try to work together, but then down the road, Saw Gerrera and Mon Mothma have a difference of opinion on how to run the rebellion. So Saw breaks away again, and becomes another.
Saul's gonna do something that's gonna alienate him from Mon Mothma
Yes.
and Bail Organa and that faction. Yeah.
So that has not happened yet in the Andor show, right? They still have to bring Mothma and Saw Gerrera together, and then we're going to see that split up again. And then my question is, like, is this one of those moments? Like, so Mon Mothma took like 3 or 4 drinks before she started dancing, and I think that was kind of like I've just realized what this war is going to cost me. It's going to cost me some of my friends. And this is the first time I'm losing somebody because of this war that I'm getting into. And that the realization of that loss and what she has to do for the cause almost broke her. So she takes a few drinks and she goes into this dance to forget about what's got to happen. And Luthen's going to take care of what's got to happen. And down the road, because Luthen right now is in a spot where he's like, everybody is expendable, including myself, for this cause. The cause is the be-all, end-all, and the cause comes first. No one's life is more important than the cause, not even my own. And Saw Gerrera has that same attitude.
Yeah.
Nothing is more important than the cause. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, okay, this is the first time Mon Mothma is seeing the cause before everybody else and everything else. Everybody's expendable for the cause. Now, down the road, we know that Saw Gerrera and Mothma are going to come to odds with the way they do things. So I have a feeling that Mon Mothma is going to be like, I let myself cross that line once. I'm not going to do it again. I let Luthen kill my best friend. And someone's going to be on the line down the road and she's going to say, no, I'm not going to let that happen again. The Empire kills people for their cause. We have to be better than that. And we have to show that we can be better than that. So we're not going to kill it. And that's why Saw Gerrera goes away. And I wonder also if Luthen goes with Saw Gerrera at that point, because they're very much on that edge of it. Where Mon Mothma, this could be that turning point where Mon Mothma is going to be like, I crossed that line once, I'm not going to cross it again. We have to be better than that. We have to be better than the Empire. And if we're not going to do that, then we're no different than the Empire. Do you get what I'm saying?
We need to review, give our ratings for this episode. So out of 10, John, I say episode, story arc.
You want three ratings? Adam,
just one rating for all 3 episodes.
Out of 10.
Yeah.
Out of 10. Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty close to giving it a 10, but I'll hold back a little bit to say a 9.
Okay.
I mean, it's near perfect, but I mean,
wow,
perfect's so hard to achieve that I'll stick around a 9. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Keith,
I think there'll be better episodes, believe it or not. So I'm not going to I'm not going to go full on. I would like to score each one, but I'm just going to give you one score as you've asked. I would go 8.5.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And Matt,
I'm going the opposite way, but it'll bring the average to John's. I'm going 9.5. I mean, this arc was really good. It was a great setup. I mean, it's obviously what happens here is setting up the next 3 episodes, which will set up the next 3 episodes. So
it's almost setting up the whole series.
Right, exactly. It is, and and they did like I said, they did a near perfect job with it. I mean, you already got the controversies about like, the rape and everything else. This is Star Wars. This is grown up Star Wars, and grown up Star Wars has grown up themes, kids. So
deal with it. Yeah,
deal with it. Yeah, I thought they did it very well. So I'm a 9.5. I mean, it's near perfect.
Interesting. I'm not going that high.
I really just need to know if B2EMO is safe, because they left the planet without him, and I'm really
they did left
who
the droid there.
They need to show something where they go back and get him.
Adam, the worst thing about this is, that droid is now gone from about 50 quid to about 80 quid overnight. So we're screwed, mate.
Yeah, it's not easy to get a hold of that.
I don't know if you can see him, but he's right up there on that shelf.
He's up there, isn't he?
Right there.
Yeah.
He's only been in Black Series, right? In that special box set.
No,
He's
no, he's
on Disney as well, isn't he?
Disney Parks
Disney Droid
exclusive.
Factory.
I was able to get him through Disney Shop a few years
Oh,
ago.
is he a 3 3/4 in Disney
Yeah,
exclusive?
he's right.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
right
I didn't
there.
know that. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, hold on a minute.
Not easy to get a hold of though, John.
Let me.
I'm gonna score mine as well. I'm not going as high. I'm more like Keith. I'm gonna go 7.5,
Really?
purely because I felt it was quite quite slow, like season 1 was for a lot of the earlier storylines. But I do know it's building to something great, and I'm 100% along for the ride and excited to see what's coming. So, you know, it's gonna be good. I'm not completely blown away by it just yet, but that's just down to like the pacing of it. Martin has also sent me his rating. He's gone for 8 out of 10. He absolutely loved it. He wasn't sure on whether the assault scene needed to be quite so graphic, but he thinks that once the 12 episodes are finished, there will be more understanding why the episodes needed slow moments like the Rebel Civil War. And his MVP storyline, as he's put it, was everything on Chandrila, which was probably the weakest part for me. But Luthen, Mon Mothma, every other character there, they brought their A game. That was his ratings for it. There's B2AMO on that.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want you to see me climb back there to get him, but yeah, he's a great figure. Yeah, he's really hard to get. I was lucky to get him. But, yeah,
it's good.
Well,
he's not easy to get hold of now. So
I'll be there on the 30th. We'll see if they can find any.
No, you won't.
You're like, no. You're just like, no.
I saw them the last time I saw him. It was in Christmas 2022, I think.
Oh, was
it was
that
my first
long
Christmas
ago?
ago.
They did that? Wow,
yeah, I got them in Disney Springs. They had it, but they're not there anymore.
Jeez, I never even knew
eBay right now, £60-70.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I saw one go for just under that recently, and
they've gone up overnight.
Wish I'd have kept bidding. Yeah. Right. Well, thank you all for coming on. I will ask you all what you've got coming up on your channels, Matt.
Life has kind of gotten in the way right now. I got some ideas for videos on my channel. I just haven't had the time to do them.
Okay.
But I do have one. I want to kind of revisit my my Dark Trooper video. It was one I did. It was like one of the first videos I ever did. If you go back and find on my channel, you get to see how bad it really is, the quality of stuff I did back then. But I kind of want to revisit it because we have like the actual like now canon Dark Troopers and stuff. I got some new ones. Like I got the new Snow Trooper, and this wave is actually pretty good. I'd like to kind of go through that. I finally got a pilot for my E-Wing, and I kind of want to go revisit the whole idea like I did on my channel when I reviewed the E-Wing about how it's not really a it's more of a planetary defense force vehicle now. It's not really something that the Alliance is using, and looking at the figure herself, this doesn't scream like Rangers of the New Republic to me. It's more like Lethal planetary defense uniform. Kind of things. So it's just some kind of stuff that I kind of want to talk about, but it's until my employment situation changes, that's kind of my focus. And we just, like I said, in the past month we've lost 2 dogs, and now my wife we've adopted a puppy yesterday. So it's like, life has really gotten in the way of my YouTube channel as much as I kind of love to do it, but I'll get there, but I'll get back to it eventually. But
yeah, Keith,
take care of you before you don't have to worry about the rest of us. Take care of you.
So tonight, because my video goes out on a Friday UK time at 7:00, so that's roughly the same time this is going out. So tonight, next episode of Mando's Best covers Biker Scouts / Scout Troopers, all the ones that have ever been released. And then next week, I'm doing Luke X-Wing Pilot, all the ones that have ever been produced. So that's my next 2 videos.
Nice.
Great. And John, what's coming up on your
I
channel?
mean, modern, I've got a couple more Transformers to take a look at. Vintage related, if you don't mind me saying, if you don't want to use it, you can cut it out if you do. But I just met with a lady this morning. We took pictures of everything. We've got a sale coming up on the channel in May where we're going to be selling off her husband's entire collection of Star Wars. And it goes all the way back to the 70s and 80s stuff. He's got just about every figure loose. Some of them still in the packaging or still in the bubbles, anyways. And hopefully by the weekend, there will be a video up showcasing all the stuff that's going to be on offer and details about the sale coming up.
There's no way I can watch that.
Excellent.
Essentially helping
Thanks for
out.
warning me, John. I'm going to avoid that one like the plague.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
Essentially helping out someone who lost their husband and father, and helping them to move the collection to better hands.
Yeah.
Adam, sorry, I've got to mention Adam Berry's Hadley Toy Fair. At Hadley on Sunday. I've got a store. It starts at I think 9-10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. So just for those in the UK, check it out if you can. I'll be there selling.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very simple.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll put the descriptions to all the channels below, and even the Hadley old Hadley Toy Fair that Adam Berry's doing of Southend-on-Sea Collective, Toy Collective.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for coming on and joining me for that. Thank you everyone out there for watching. Please like and subscribe and let us know in the comments what you thought of these first 3 episodes, and come back next week. We'll take a look at the next 3. We'll see you all later.
Stay awesome, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one, everybody.